Breaking news out of Cleveland. And this one could seriously change the direction of the Browns season. Word from Berea is that things are heating up behind the scenes, and the name being talked about has everyone in the dog pound paying attention. Sources close to the team say there's real movement happening, and here's the crazy part. Our next opponent might be right in the middle of it. Yeah, you heard that right. This next game might not just be about wins and losses. It could be part of a quiet tug of war over a young quarterback with a big last name and real potential. Sanders. The Browns have been walking that all too familiar line between promise and frustration. The offense, expected to take a step forward, hasn't found its rhythm. Rookie Dillon Gabriel has only one win in 4 games, averaging under 5 yards per attempt. Drives stall, the passing game struggles, and the Browns offense ranks near the bottom of the league. Meanwhile, the defense led by Myles Garrett has been carrying the entire load. That's why Sanders' name keeps coming up. Drafted in the 5th round after a surprising slide, he's turned heads in Cleveland, calm under pressure, accurate and confident. Coaches and players alike have noticed. But now, word is the Jets are interested in making a move for him ahead of the trade. Deadline. Josh Cribbs poured fuel on that fire when he said on local radio that there are real talks between the Jets and people close to Sanders. He claimed the interest is serious and the price tag isn't cheap. A 2nd-round pick minimum. That comment hit Cleveland hard. Suddenly, Sanders, who hasn't even played a regular season snap, became one of the most talked about trade names in the NFL. And here I am trying to do my best to gather all the information I can for you and share it with you. Please leave your likes and comments, and I would be grateful if you subscribed. Let's continue. The Jets, sitting at 1-7 with Justin Fields struggling, are desperate. And the timing couldn't be more dramatic. Cleveland plays New York right after the bye week. Imagine facing Sanders in green and white days after he was wearing brown and orange. Fans are split. Some say the Browns would be crazy to trade away their most promising young quarterback before he gets a chance. Others think a 2nd-round pick is too good to pass up. Inside the building, though, the team's keeping quiet. Kevin Stefanski brushed off the rumors, saying it's not the focus right now, but everyone can feel the tension. Even Sanders' recent live stream added to the buzz when he said, "I'm getting ready." Gotta be ready. Fans took that as a sign he knows something's brewing. If the trade happens, it could go either way. The Browns would get valuable draft capital, but lose a developing quarterback who many believe could be their future. With Dillon Gabriel struggling and the offense near the bottom in passing yards, trading away Sanders might not sit well with the locker room or the fan base. Still, from a business standpoint, Cleveland already holds 2 first-rounders in 2026. Adding another high pick could give the front office flexibility to make a big move next offseason. It's a tough balance. Short-term needs versus long-term vision. But one thing's clear. The Browns can't afford more quarterback instability. For decades, this franchise has cycled through names, each one carrying the same hope that this might finally be the guy. Sanders represents that hope again. A possible answer to years of searching. So now it's up to the Browns. Do you hang on to him and see what he becomes? Or do you trade him while his value's high? So here's how this all unfolded. Sanders, the young quarterback everyone's been waiting to see finally get his shot, was a late addition to the Week 8 injury report before the Browns faced the New England Patriots. It was listed as a back injury, something the team initially brushed off as precautionary. He still traveled with the squad, went through his pregame warm-up, and the hope was he'd be able to go. But when it came time to suit up, the coaches shut it down. He wasn't ready, and that's when Bailey Zappi, Bailey Zappi, ended up as the backup behind Dillon Gabriel. Now, Kevin Stefanski came out after the game with the usual coach talk. You know, he's improving every day. We're hopeful he'll be good to go after the bye type of stuff. But when you read between the lines, you can tell this might not be as simple as they're letting on. Stefanski said Sanders showed up Saturday with the back issue. They gave it a shot, and he just couldn't move the way they needed him to. Okay, fair enough. But then, you listen to Sanders himself, and he tells reporters it wasn't his decision to sit out and that he'd be ready after the bye. That's where I start reading a little deeper. Because if it wasn't his call, that tells me 2 things. 1, he's still that ultra-competitive guy who wants to fight through anything. And 2, the team's medical staff might have seen something that concerned them. You don't hold a guy like Sanders out unless you absolutely have to. Now, here's the other layer. We still don't know how this injury happened. That's been the quiet part in all of this. No one said if it came from a hit in practice, something lingering, or maybe even overuse from training. But what we do know is that Sanders isn't sitting still. The guy literally took his rehab on the road. No joke. He was spotted flying out to Colorado to surprise his dad, Deion Sanders, and in the well-off media footage, you can literally see him getting treatment mid-flight, and again at the Colorado facility. That's not your typical rest and recover situation. That's someone grinding to get back on the field as fast as humanly possible. Originally, he told everyone he'd be staying in Cleveland during the bye week to rehab. But clearly that plan shifted a bit. Maybe he needed the mental boost of seeing his family, or maybe he just wanted to work with people he trusts. Either way, the man's clearly not taking any downtime lightly. But here's where the story gets frustrating for Browns fans. Because as Sanders is sidelined, Dillon Gabriel is out there struggling to move this offense. And I mean really struggling. In 4 starts, he's gone 1-3, thrown for just over 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 picks. That's a rough stat line, but what's even worse is the yards per attempt. 4.9. That's near the bottom of the entire NFL. It's check down after check down, and the offense looks completely stuck in the mud. And still, Stefanski's doubling down. Coming out of the bye, the Browns are sticking with Gabriel. The message has been consistent. This isn't just about the quarterback. It's an entire offensive problem. And look, he's not wrong. The offensive line's been shaky, the receivers haven't been in sync, and the play calling has been, well, let's just say less than inspiring. But at some point, when the offense is averaging under 15 points a game, you have to start looking under center. Stefanski even went as far as saying that Sanders' potential return isn't his current focus. That's his quote, which, for me, translates to, we're not ready to start that conversation yet. But you and I both know how this works. If Gabriel doesn't start putting points on the board soon, that conversation is going to come whether he likes it or not. Right now, Cleveland sits at 2-6. Let's just call it what it is. That's unacceptable for a team that had playoff expectations coming into the year. This defense has been doing its job week in and week out, but it's getting wasted. They're holding opponents under 20 points and still losing because the offense can't sustain drives. It's brutal to watch. Now, Mary Kay Cabot, who's one of the most plugged-in reporters in Cleveland, said she believes Gabriel's got maybe a 4-game leash before the Browns even think about turning to Sanders. And honestly, that tracks. The team probably wants to see if Gabriel can settle in, get more comfortable with timing, and maybe build some chemistry. But Cabot made a great point. At some point, you can't keep trotting out a quarterback who's not producing when you've got another option waiting in the wings. It's not fair to the rest of the roster. So, let's connect the dots here. Sanders is dealing with a back injury that may be worse than originally thought. Gabriel's got 4 more games to prove he can be the guy. And meanwhile, this fan base, the Dog Pound, is watching another season slip away, wondering when they'll finally get to see the kid they've been so excited about take the field. Next up for Cleveland is a road matchup against the New York Jets, a 1-win team. If there was ever a get-right game for this offense, this is it. The Jets have one of the weakest defenses in the league right now. If Gabriel can't show something here, if the offense still looks flat and lifeless, that leash might start tightening real fast. Because here's the truth. As soon as Sanders is healthy, truly healthy, this city is going to demand to see him play. The pressure is already building, and you can feel it in the fan base. If Gabriel can't move the needle, Stefanski won't have much of a choice but to turn to the rookie. And I'll tell you this, when Sanders finally steps on that field in a Browns uniform, after everything he's worked through, after all the hype and all the waiting, it's going to be a moment. You can just feel it building. This story's far from over. But one thing's for sure, Cleveland's future under center just got a whole lot more interesting.